Welcome to the weekly Pick and Pack, the podcast about all things inventory. Pick and Pack, powered by Fishbowl.
Welcome to the weekly Pick and Pack. This is episode 10. We made it, double digits. So we've kind of switched up the studio a little bit here. You can see we got two awesome guests here. I'll let you guys, dang it, I already screwed it up. You girls, introduce yourself.
Oh, here we go.
We're talking about women in tech today, so this would be perfect for it.
I'm Nicole. I work on the Boxstorm team. A little bit of Fishbowl Online also.
What do you do there?
A little bit of the support. I'm kind of like the tier 2 person.
Okay.
Customer billing, all that kind of stuff. Pretty well everything they throw at me.
Perfect. Okay.
My name is Jamie Shanoff, and I work in the reports department. So any of our customers that feel like they need to modify our stock reports or create a whole new report, they talk to me. And then I write that up and have it quoted out, and then we create that report for them.
Sounds
Cool.
technical.
It's very technical.
Way more technical than I'm used to.
You never written a report before, Nate?
Like book reports all the time.
It's like super close to the same thing.
It's totally the
well.
same.
I mean, it sounds like what you
It's,
do, right?
it's the
It's the
same.
same.
You just have to write something up. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's super easy. There's no code involved. And then we got, of course, Nate Fulmer, who's here every week almost,
That's me.
right? So today we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about. It's like I haven't missed
So
a week.
far?
So we're gonna talk about women in tech. So you guys are. We were talking to you a couple weeks ago, and you've worked together forever, right? Mm-hmm. For how long?
Forever.
Like,
Oh
what,
wow!
15?
Don't make it sound so negative.
No,
Fishbowl
I'm
forever?
happy
It's been
about
a long
it.
time.
15
15-ish
years.
years.
Yeah.
Wow! So you worked together pre-Fishbowl.
Yep.
Yes. I
Okay.
actually hired.
Yeah, she
Nicole.
hired me.
Wow!
Nice.
Did you see how hard it was for her just to say my name right there?
I know, because
Not
I
my
have a
nickname.
nickname for her, and I'm trying to not.
No,
use
you can
right
use
now.
it.
What is it?
I'm not going to be the first one to say
I've
it.
never heard
'cause
this.
This is about women in tech and about how the stereotypes, and I'm not about to be the first one to use it, so you can use it.
Okay. Her nickname is Tootsie.
And
As in
everybody, it's not even a nickname.
Tootsie
Everyone.
Roll. And it's because she can do the Tootsie Roll. Maybe
Oh,
she'll
okay.
demonstrate.
Prove it.
I don't know.
It
Prove
could
it.
have been a sexist situation at a workplace, and it just, I
we
don't-
turned it into a funny
we turned
joke.
it into a positive.
Has anyone
We
ever
always
like
do
given
that.
like been
Lemons
weird
and
about it though?
lemonade.
Her parents.
My dad actually yelled at me and said I couldn't call her that because she's black. And he thought that I was calling her that because she's black. And I'm like, Dad,
Because the Tootsie Roll.
nothing to do with that.
nothing
She's
to
my
do
best friend, and I would never do that.
I wasn't even thinking that. I was just thinking like, I don't know.
Like
It's just
the
so
movie
like
Tootsie.
50s, like, hey Tootsie, you
Yeah.
know, like,
Hey, Toots.
yeah, hey
Yeah.
Toots.
Toots, yeah.
Hey, go make me a report.
Yeah, get me my copy, Toots. I haven't had any of that with
Yeah.
that nickname
She's not on the
yet.
reports team.
I feel way too sexist
So.
using that. I didn't know what Boxstorm does, so
Yeah.
I didn't have any good examples. So we're going to talk about a little bit about what you've done now, a little bit about your prior experience, and just some of the, just working in tech and working around, the
sure.
corporate environment. So
Yeah.
first we're going to start with stereotypes. So like, nicknames, things like that. What are some stereotypes that are true about like, women working in tech? Like here are the typical stereotypes and these are the ones that are true.
I had a hard time thinking of anything as far as that goes necessarily. I mean, I feel just in general, one of the things that came to mind was how women are a little bit more organized
Yeah.
in their
So people
work
just
processes.
assume you're more organized.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's true.
Like, I know you're
I'm
not.
definitely organized, but both sides. Like some are, some aren't. I
You're
don't
not
know.
organized.
She's more
I'm
organized than
a
me.
little more. That's why I was kind of giving her that look.
Why did you assume that she wasn't?
I'm normal organized. She's like OCD.
I'm trying to do
OCD.
reverse sexism.
I'm totally OCD organized. I think one of them, too, is that women are very passionate and they kind of bring emotions into things. So whenever we're in a meeting, we kind of get more passionate and more emotional when it comes to our opinions. I think that's definitely true. And it could be good or bad. Sometimes it is good to bring some emotion into that. And I think that's kind of a positive. It can also be a negative sometimes if you're in a meeting and someone starts crying, a little bit awkward. But for the most part, I think it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So
Has anyone ever not felt awkward when they are in front of someone crying? Like if you started crying right now,
don't care
I
who
would
it is.
instantly feel awkward.
Really?
Oh, same
Okay.
thing with you. If you started crying, I'd feel
I
way
would
more
crawl
awkward.
under this table
Yeah, a
and
little
crawl
bit,
out of the room.
A little bit. I think men have a harder time with it though. When
Yeah.
a female starts crying, they tend to not know what to do. Where females can comfort you and say it'll be okay.
Well, and
You
I'm
know?
like, if it's somebody I don't know, I'm just like you. I'm like,
Oh, that's
get me
panic.
out of
Yeah,
here.
like I can't. I gotta go.
It's like, oh, this is my comfort zone. Good. Thank you for crying.
Yes.
I feel empowered now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
I'm zero
It's fine.
empathetic.
I think it
just
ruins
full
your
spread.
street cred sometimes
Yeah,
as a
it does.
female if you cry. I mean, I had
It
a lot
tends
of
to do that as a
mentors
male, too.
growing up. I would think so.
I would imagine so.
Maybe women
It's only
would
happened
like
to me a few
that
times.
though if you cried. Show you're more like emotional, in touch.
In the workplace?
Yeah, you never know.
I'll try it
I
out.
don't
I'll
know.
let you know how it goes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is that have you ever been in a room where like in a work meeting when a woman starts crying?
Yeah, when I was younger in my 20s, I even started crying once at a work meeting. And I had a mentor that was the president of a company that I was working for, and she said, don't ever cry in front of your male coworkers. It ruins your street cred. She said, always just put your tongue at the top of the roof of your mouth and concentrate and don't cry because it ruins it. Everything you say after the point that you're done crying will never be taken seriously
Yeah.
again. So I only did it once. And, you know, when in your 20s, you're really emotional and you have a hard time kind of, you know, controlling that or hiding that. By the time you hit 40, you just kind of don't care anymore. I don't really cry anymore.
Yeah.
I just get mad. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm 40. I'm going to do what I want.
You're just stone
So,
cold at this
yeah,
point.
I am. Like, I don't do that anymore. I just get mad. I'm very passionate and I get mad. So.
Did that going back to your story? Did that like totally screw you?
No, because I was still kind of young and I wasn't anywhere near like in the management kind of position. I was just in a meeting with my coworkers, so it wasn't too bad. But it was really good advice because I've tried to follow it ever since.
Yeah.
Well, and I do
So-
think for women, it's harder in those situations when you are surrounded by men. I feel like pretty well every job I've had, honestly, I've been one of the few women, and so
Me
you kind of
too.
feel this. You know, when you're younger, it is hard. When you're a younger girl, it's harder for sure. But yeah, you finally do come to a point where you're just like, this is what I'm going to say, and this is what it is, and
It is what it's
Yep,
going to be.
This is how I feel.
Yeah. Another one is women can be kind of catty, and I know that sounds mean, but women can be very competitive, and I think that they have to be when they're with a group of men and in that kind of environment. And that's sometimes not so fun because they wish that we'd all be lifting each other up.
Yeah.
But they feel like they have to do that in order to gain their respect and get ahead. And sometimes that's not fun.
Yeah, I'd say
It's
that's
Yeah.
a
not
negative
fun.
one. I don't feel like that's so much of a thing for men
yeah.
to do that kind of stuff, but women for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely had a supervisor that was very catty, and I just was like, I would hate to be on her bad side, you know,
Yeah.
because she just made your life a living hell.
Yeah, she
You
would just
know,
get-
yeah, and just didn't keep it professional at all. It was always personal with
Yeah,
her.
I never
so.
find that with men.
No.
Men don't act that way, and if they're angry, they don't carry it on to the next day.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go on and on and on. It's like the next day everything's fine. No,
I know my fair share.
okay,
Just saying.
all right.
Don't look at me.
We'll talk
Oh, I
about
was
it
like,
later.
wow, is there beef? There's
Wow.
beef here.
No, there's no
We'll
beef
talk
here.
about
No. No.
We'll talk it out.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Something's
Nothing's happening. It's
All
fine.
right.
We'll
Moving
just
on.
stay
It's
Like,
cordial.
I know some
Moving
guys
on.
that
No, I
hold
think-
on to
I mean,
things,
there's obviously, like, the-
slowly looks back to me. It's just like
No, I think that there's obviously like the competitive angle, no matter who you're working
Yeah.
with, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's just the cattiness, like you said. Like it just depends on how it's, I don't know,
How it
reacted
comes
to
out.
or whatever. Yeah, or if it's passive aggressive or more just straight up aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right.
wow.
all.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
we've. It's hard because I don't know, like working, especially like we work with a lot with partners and things, and like we definitely see some of the drama and some of like the cattiness. Mm-hmm. But like we could never, as a man, I could never call that out because then
Right.
you're dead.
That
You're
would
dead.
make it even worse.
You're dead.
What do you do?
That would make you
I
would
need
be dead.
advice. What
Yeah.
do I do? You just
The first thing that
ignore
you
it and act
don't
like it didn't
say
happen?
is calm down. That's the worst thing you can say. Because I've said that to a female before on the phone from New York, and she was very angry. And I said, okay, you're going to need to calm down. Oh my gosh.
Comic book.
Worst. Don't say that. Maybe just address what the issue is and try to end the call or the conversation as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Tried that with my wife before. It didn't work out either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Calm down.
You can just relax a little. Oh,
That's why.
Yeah, I don't
it's
think
not
telling
good. It's
them
not
what to
a-
do is. I always just try to be like, okay, so this is what we're working on. How can we
How can we fix
resolve
it?
this situation? What can
Right.
we do to come to common ground, or what
Yeah,
that's
that's
usually
good.
what I tend to do. I don't don't tell people, you're
Yeah.
acting like a big fat baby.
Even though in your head you're like, you're acting like
Yeah,
a big fat
you're-
baby.
Exactly. What are some of those stereotypes that are false? We're talking about some that like, okay, those may hold some merit. What are some that are like, that's such a
When I
stereotype
worked
that I hate? Like,
at the previous company that I
this is
worked
like
for,
therapy,
it is
just
total
get it
for
out.
me. I've gone through
It's
a
a safe
lot.
place, yeah.
When I worked at the first employer that I had, they would tell me as I was hiring people not to hire females because we would train them, and by the time that they would get trained, they would just have a baby and never come back. And
Yeah.
I think that's a bad stereotype because we have a lot of moms that work here and they're great. Like
Yeah.
all the females that work here are so smart and
Yeah.
they're great. And even some of them work from home. Like in the reports team, we have a girl, Amy, that works from home, and I can count on her, and her work is done, and I don't have to call her and say, hey, Amy, can you get this done?
Yeah.
She always comes through for me every time. And I think that you gain a lot of respect if you can give women that ability to be moms and also be in the workplace because, they will work for you forever if you're nice to them and you let them also take care of their family but also work.
Yeah.
I really love to work, and when I had my son, I had a major midlife crisis because I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to stay home. I wanted to come to work, but kind of here in Utah Valley, they make you feel like you're a horrible person if you
Trying to work too.
want to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's a bad stereotype to say, let's not hire very many females because they're just going to have babies. It's terrible.
Yeah, just completely
Yeah.
like discount
not
the
even
whole
consider
group.
'em.
Like,
And we're
Yeah,
just
that's
as
true.
smart and we're just as able to do the same work that men are able to do.
Well, and that was going to be the thing I brought up is that one of the other stereotypes is that we're like women aren't as analytical as men. Mm-hmm. Like we're not able to think logically. We let our emotions get in the way.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one. So I mean, sometimes it is helpful to be a little bit passionate and get that out there. But I think sometimes it's kind of like, oh well, women can't see the big picture or they let their emotions get in the way. And we've had a lot of that through the places that we've worked at that we get told, well, I don't think you're going to be able to handle this, or I don't
Yeah.
know if you'll know the answer to this, and it's like,
Yeah, how do you
give me
handle
a
that?
chance, like let me.
I really hope that you guys have
Like, how do
seen
you
that like kind
respond?
of like decrease though in your
It's so funny
experience,
here
hopefully.
because everybody is more on the younger scale. Like I am kind of one of the older employees here at Fishbowl.
Yeah.
And the younger people really have a feel for it. Like I
Yeah.
thought I was going to come in and they're going to be like, "Oh, you're this old lady. Like, let me show you how to turn on a computer." But they,
right there.
all the guys that I work with, they treat me like I'm equal, and
Yeah.
I never had to come in and prove myself.
That's good.
With Kendrick over our department, over development, he's always treated me like I'm smart,
Yeah.
and I know things, and I've never had
Doesn't
to
treat
defend.
me that way. Lucky.
I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry.
because you're so emotional.
It is. You,
I don't
if
wanna
you,
talk about
if
it.
you
Let's just
don't-
move on.
Okay, sorry. Once again, we're moving on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've never had to prove myself. From day one, I've been respected, and he's always treated me like I'm a part of the conversation and I should be there. And that is so great because my job that I had previously, and I never felt that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just hope, like, optimistically, like, society as a whole, like, no one would ever be told, hey, don't hire a woman because they're just going to end up having a baby soon.
I think it's a
anyway. Like,
generation
I
thing.
Yeah,
really
it
hope
definitely
like,
is.
whoever was told that would be, like, horrified when they were
I
told
was
that. Like,
horrified.
I hope.
I
that
was
would happen.
horrified, and
Yeah.
it made me really sad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Or oh, she's engaged. Well,
She's just going to want to be a mom.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being a mom. I
No.
could
Yeah.
never be a stay-at-home mom. It's
Yeah.
the hardest job. Like I could never
Yeah,
do
it
that
sucks.
job. But women are great. Like I asked JD today, I said, JD, what do you think is something positive about women working here at Fishbowl that you could say? And he said, honestly, Jamie, all the women that work here are self-starters. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, they all work. I don't have to motivate them. I don't have to remind them that they need to actually work. He's like,
Yeah.
all of the women that work here, I don't worry about. They're the hardest workers.
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're, you know, and I thought that was so nice.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
Yeah, coming here for sure from where we were at our last place, night and day. Like she tried
Night
to get
and
me
day.
over here for a year and a half, and I was just like,
Yes.
no, it's fine, because you work somewhere for 15 years, and it's like,
So
and,
hard to
and they
leave.
treat you like that. You're kind of
Yeah.
like, well, maybe this is where I belong.
you're
I'm not going to
comfortable
be
too,
able.
right?
Well,
You,
yeah,
like,
and
start-
it's
you,
really
like,
know
start-
everything.
Yeah, starts
Yeah.
getting your own head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would
Scary.
say for the both of us, it's those things that have happened over the years definitely has chipped away at our self-confidence
Yeah,
and
for sure.
what we're able to do and what we're capable of. but you know, we persevere, me and her for sure. We're just
Yeah.
like, we're gonna figure this out. We're
Yeah.
gonna do this. You know, it kind of gives us a little bit more push to do it too, just to prove people wrong.
So true.
So in your last,
So
you made a
true.
couple comments a couple minutes ago where you said like someone has said to you in the past, like, oh, I don't know if you can figure this out. What is your, like, do you respond to that? Do you just ignore it? Like, what's your,
When I was younger, I was
What's the
just kind of
advice
like,
there?
okay, well, I mean, I can try, or I can, you know, but as the years
Yeah.
went on, I was just kind of like, you know what, give it to me.
Yeah.
She
And
hit 40, and then she was like, move.
Yeah, when my birthday hit,
the next day? when my
on my
birthday-
40th birthday.
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 But yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was, you know, I didn't have that confidence, but you know, I know what I'm capable of,
Yeah.
and so I'm just like, give it to me, you know, and I'd overperform. I'd be like, here you go, next day,
That's
here
awesome.
it's done, here you go. You know, you don't even need to ask me about it. So
The boys on the team are always teasing me about my work ethic, and they'll say, why were you up at 5 a.m. assigning cases? What are you doing? And I think the reason why I have such a good work ethic is because the first 15 years of my working career, I had to work twice as hard to prove myself,
Yeah.
to fill and be treated like I was equal or even close to being equal. I had to work twice as much. So now it's kind of just my norm. Like I can work a 12-hour day, or if I leave and there's still emails in our queue, I will go home and answer those
Yeah,
emails.
that night.
Like
Yeah.
it drives me crazy to have
Yeah.
them there because I feel like I'm not doing a good job. And it's not something that Fishbowl even likes me to do. I've been lectured a couple of times on,
They're like, stop working.
Setting
can you
expectations too
please
high.
like go get a life and have like a hobby? And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
nothing that
emails
they've
are
ever
my
even
passion.
asked.
So yeah, I
Emails
just
are my passion.
they are. It's a problem. Like I check on the weekends. I'm psycho about it, but
That's
that's
rough.
why like this job is my calling.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
I get all the emails and I love it.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that, I mean, we have a ton of different, I mean, Fishbowl obviously works with a ton of different small businesses and things like that, but I mean, even coming from implementation and you probably from the box store team, we work with a lot of, you know, millennial women and
Yeah.
people coming into the workplace for the first time. And so I think that kind of advice is great. And like Nate said, hopefully it's getting better, and I'm sure we're going to kind of get into some of your stories
Fingers
here in a
crossed.
second. But
Industry wide.
yeah, like
I
everybody's
feel like
getting
it
better,
is.
you know.
I feel like it is.
So we talk about, so any other false stereotypes before we move on?
not that I can think
No.
of. No.
Okay, so we're going to go, I know that you guys said you had, like, so you started working, what, you said 20 years ago?
I was in the Yellow Page industry for about 22 years. I'm 46.
So what'd you guys,
Yeah, both of us. I've been about 20.
Yeah, so I was in there quite a while. I started when I was 22.
So what
and
did you do there?
I started when I was at Phone Directories. We were using a software to create the phone books. And for all of you
Yeah, we
that
need to
know
probably
what phone
clarify,
books
what are phone
right?
That's how old we
exactly,
are.
the phone books.
She called us the Golden Girls earlier.
we
today.
were the
We're
Golden
just-
Girls of Fishbowl right now because we're the oldest
Yeah.
females
We
here.
need fact checker Sean to pull up a picture of a phone book. So
Yes, we can.
So me and
show
Nate know
them.
what we're
See that
talking
looks
about.
like.
Oh, what?
We
Yeah.
think we know what that is.
Right.
It's like a book
That's
that's shaped like
crazy.
a phone. I don't
Yes,
get it.
where you get people's phone numbers instead of like dialing, like just looking at their
I'm-
name and
I'm
dialing.
too old, too.
Okay,
Looking
got
at
it.
their
I was
name.
giving you that. I was.
I know.
I was
wish.
giving you that.
I wish I didn't know what a phone book looked like.
Sorry.
So were you like one of how many women that work there and how many people work?
One,
of
and I
one?
and I started. Yeah, the programmer
How many
came to
work there
me.
total?
I was with 7 developers, and
In
then
the
it was me
beginning.
in the beginning. And he came to me and just said, "Can you come and help me develop this? I want to sell this software to other publishers, and I need you to come and help me get the program usable for other users because we kind of
Yeah.
had to make it work for everybody. And you have all of those." Ways that one company does something is completely different at another company, even though they're doing the same thing. And they think that their way is the standard way, but it's not. So I started out doing that, and so I would go visit the customers and kind of train them and then help develop the software and say it would be cool if it would do this. And then pretty soon we got into a building and we hired more employees. I think we had how many, Nicole? 17?
Yeah, by
I
the
wanna
time
say-
both of us were there, we had like between 17, 20.
And we had about 174 customers, which is small beans for Fishbowl, but it was a
Yeah.
big deal for us. And so I was over the technical support and I did all of the training. I would travel around and train customers. And they started me right off going to conventions. And I was literally literally the only girl there, and it was
In the entire
all
convention?
In the entire convention, and I was 22. I was a baby, and they
That's
were all
crazy.
older men that were 50s and 60s in this
Yeah.
good old boys club, and
Oh,
they all.
really?
And I was so uncomfortable, but I learned who to trust. I learned who was going to be there for me and rescue me if some old man tried
That's
to come up
creepy.
to me. Right, and I learned who those people
did
were.
you get like a ton of attention because you were the only woman?
I did, but it
At
wasn't
those
positive
conferences?
attention
It
like,
was just
oh,
people
she's so
trying to hang
smart,
out.
let's go talk to her. It was other,
Yeah.
and it was
What
awkward.
other attention?
Well, you know, they wanted
one
to
of our-
buy
That's
me
crazy.
One
a
of our
Diet Coke.
competitors, one of our
fun.
competitors actually came over and he said, "No wonder he's able to keep and get the customers he has. Look at the women he hires."
Yeah.
Oh boy!
And we were like,
in
They're
front,
so
in
smart.
front of you.
"Oh yeah,
Oh,
he's-
yeah.
uh-huh."
They're so
Yeah.
smart
Yeah.
and good at what they do. No wonder they're able to keep all their customers.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get sued if you say something like that now. You know that's
Well,
out of
you
control.
should, but I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that happens as often as it should.
That's
But,
crazy.
yeah.
So
It's hard.
were you the only? How many women worked at Yellow Pages?
Eventually, we had 4 employees
Yeah.
that were
Got it.
female,
That
and
were
then one
female.
male that was kind of just doing all the tech support, all of
Got
us,
it.
and then we still kept the same developers, but we
That's
hired a
crazy.
few
Yeah,
developers.
for what 15 years ish. It
Yeah.
was just us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to do a lot of fun things. It wasn't all negative. I mean, I went to Bermuda every single year. We had a really good customer there. They would fly me out every year.
sweet.
I've been to Maui. I've been to Oahu a number of times. So I've gotten to travel a lot, and
Yeah.
that was kind of why I love that job, is because I've been everywhere. Canada all
Yeah,
the time.
definitely. We went a lot
Loved
of
it.
places.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, and really, people are just fun. It's so fun to go visit people. I loved it.
Kind of a side note. Are they
Yes.
still around?
A few of them
Canada?
are. A few of them are.
No, like the company that you worked for. Are they still like
yeah,
here
they're-
locally?
They're actually down.
Like, what
oh
do they
yes.
do?
Oh, they're
They're in
still
Provo.
here.
They
yes.
still make phone books?
They still work for publishers. It's law still that you
Oh,
have to
okay.
publish a phone book. If you're a phone book company, you have to publish a phone book. So a lot of our customers
so
that we
weird.
had were customers that did the phone bill. When you get your phone hooked up, they have to produce a phone book. Some
Yeah.
of them were independent publishers, which means that they don't do it. They just do it for the income, for the money, for the advertising.
Okay.
And I think there's only 25 of our customers left.
Yeah,
in that
ish.
group, they've all
Yeah.
kind of just gone away.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's more like a phone sheet.
Yeah.
Like it's-
And with cell
single
phones,
piece of paper.
like you
It's
can't
like a one-pager.
publish cell phone numbers, right? So nobody really has a landline anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So
a lot of
it's
the
not a
rural
thing.
places still have phone books because they don't
yeah.
have, so surprisingly, phone books are
A little. They're not
Still
as
Still
much
relevant.
as
Yeah.
they were.
Makes sense.
not so much now, but
Yeah.
they're still out
I think
there.
the software we used to work for, they're trying to move more towards like web,
And
like
online.
find numbers on web for the plumber or whatever, things like that. So I think that's kind of what they've tried to move into. I don't know how successful. I know. Google knows everything. I
Yeah, pretty
Google
well.
everything.
Oh, who doesn't?
If it's not true, I pretend like it is. I don't care. If Google says it's true.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Okay, we agree.
Standard of truth.
Yes.
What were some of the things at the Yellow Pages or any of the you guys went from there to another company to here, right? Mm-hmm. What were like not any like the conference like horror stories, but what were some of like the biggest issues or things you ran into? And now knowing what you know now, 20 years later, how would you have handled them differently? Would you have what are some of the big issues you ran into?
I felt for me, I was mostly training the people who were doing the work, and most of the time the owners don't really do the work. They have you come in and they talk to you for a minute, but then they want you to go train their people. And a lot of times you can be sitting with their employees and training them, but they never would really acknowledge me. They would always just want to talk to my boss.
Oh, really?
They
Yeah.
wanted to go right to him, and he
Yeah.
would look at me for the answer because I'd been there all day.
I've been the one doing it.
And they don't want to deal with that. They're like, I can't really talk to you. I need to talk to your
Yeah.
boss. But I think that isn't just because I'm a female. I think that owners want to talk to
Who they
other
think's in
owners.
charge.
I don't
Yeah.
think that's necessarily a female thing.
We've
but
dealt with that before too.
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Training.
I want to talk to your manager.
Mm.
Yeah. Or even just like with different partners.
Yeah. They're like, we want to go and talk to your boss.
Your boss.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you to come talk to us, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Right? I know the answers, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you deal with the same thing, Nicole?
Yeah, we pretty well did the same thing. So yeah, a lot of traveling, talking to people, and that was the fun part. We just always would try to find the smartest person. I think you mentioned that in one of the older podcast, you just go right to the person where you're like, hey, you're the one.
You're my champion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Listen
going to
to
tell
this
you everything. I'm going to
podcast.
show
Good
you
job.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
we're
long-time
big
listeners
fans.
over here.
We
long-time
really are.
listeners.
We listen to everyone. We learn things. It's
I
so
have.
good.
Good.
That's
We
the
love
thing
it.
is, yeah, because I've only been
great.
here, what, a year, barely, I think?
Yes.
So, I mean, there's been things that I've learned, off your podcasts.
Yeah, just about different departments and things like that.
Yeah, and processes, things like that.
Well, I'm
So,
not surprised, but thank you for listening.
mostly from Nate Fulmer, but
I've told this regularly.
I'm not surprised.
yeah. So,
Oh, wow.
So you went from Yellow Pages to, say the next company name. Was the transition, was the culture there different? Like, was it the same as far as how
it
you were
was
treated?
pretty well
Is
the
it-
same, I want to say, because we worked for the publisher
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
And then the software they were using, they recruited us
Oh, got
over
it.
there.
You didn't have to
And-
sign like an agreement that said you wouldn't have a baby after you were hired right away.
I'm surprised we didn't.
Okay.
I know.
Just
Well,
wanna make
I
sure.
hired her, so
fair
I
enough.
was like fine with.
You
yeah.
already signed the agreement for her. Got it.
did.
She promises not to. Yeah. So I mean, the first bunch of years were great because it was all about the traveling, and we did deal with the things with people saying stuff and whatever. But it's like, let it roll off
Just
your back.
idiots,
It's just stupid people sometimes. But I mean, there were moments working there where when it would come to a raise, we were told like, well, doesn't your husband make plenty? Like,
No
what's
way.
he do?
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
it was like
In an interview?
Yeah.
in our
In our
Let's talk about that. That's
reviews.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like your
yikes.
husband's a developer, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't really need a raise. You
Yeah.
make plenty of money.
He's like,
Yeah.
So
Your
what do you
husband will
say?
get a raise. Don't worry
It's
about it.
fine. It's fine.
You go to her husband. He's like, I didn't get a raise either.
yeah, we've been told.
My wife's
This is
working.
bullcrap. They said the same thing to me. Your wife works.
Honey,
here.
I need you to
Yeah.
quit so I can get a raise.
So what do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. This is kind of stuff I think people like to hear because
Yeah, that's
You
wild.
see stuff on, you see articles on Forbes about like the wage gap and stuff like that, but no one hears like first account stories. I'm
Well,
super interested in it.
I mean, for us in that situation, we stayed there way
You're so
longer than
stunned.
what we
Yeah.
needed to, and it is shocking. You go home and you're kind of like,
well,
did
wait.
that really
what
just get said
what
to
just
me?
happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the
so
moment,
true.
you're too taken aback to
It's
like
so
even
true.
address it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you
I get
feel
that.
like a loyalty. Like I felt a loyalty because I was there for so long, and the owner would always say, like, "You're kind of like a daughter to me. Like you're like family." And it
Yeah.
wasn't in a creepy way. It like made me feel like I helped build the company, and I'd been there forever, and there just wasn't enough money to give raises.
But it's
Plus-
like almost manipulation. Though.
It
Yeah.
was,
I
and
mean,
you
looking
didn't
back,
realize
you're
till
like,
you're
that's
out of it.
straight up.
Once
Yeah.
you're out of it, you're like, that wasn't cool.
So
Yeah,
I love that.
We literally went through like the stages of grief when we came over here.
We
It
did.
was like we were sad, we left, and then it was like we were angry.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yes.
we hate them.
Yes.
And then it was like, okay,
Accept
we're
it.
moving
And then,
on.
yes, but
you
then we
know?
still have moments where we cry about it sometimes to each other where we're like, can you believe it? This is happening.
even
And
happened.
Yeah, it's crazy. One time I had a DNC and I had gotten home and I was home for about an hour and my boss called me and said, we have customers that just showed up and they need some training. Do you think you could come in and maybe just sit with them for a few hours? And I'm
Oh.
like, I just had a DNC. Like, don't you know that? I think I told you that. And he's like, yeah, but you could sit. You can sit down. It'll be fine. And I'm like, I'm just getting home from the
Yeah.
hospital.
How rough.
And my grandma died, and I was also doing tech support on her landline because back in the day there wasn't a cell phone, so I had to use her landline. And I remember hospice being there, and me being there with my grandma, and my boss made me feel like I was obligated to do this technical support call with this customer who
my
needed
gosh.
help. So I'm on the phone and I'm watching my grandma, and like it was things like that all the
Yeah.
time that would happen, and it was more of a manipulation type of a thing.
Definitely.
Just
Yeah,
stuff that no man, like if they wouldn't even ask like your male counterparts.
No.
Oh, definitely
no.
not.
Not even like mention it.
Well, and I don't even,
No.
like Fishbowl wouldn't even ask that of you in general.
And they would be
Oh,
mad
yeah,
if
yeah.
you did
You
that.
know.
They
Are
would
you
be like,
kidding?
why
Oh,
are
yeah.
you here?
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
I bulged a disc, like a year or so ago, and he called me and was like, well, we've got these contracts that need to finish getting entered for this customer. I literally was laying in my bed.
oh my
like,
god.
you
Yeah.
know, so it's,
Yikes.
It was stressful.
It turned out to be, yeah.
But I think that happens a lot where they're like, you're really lucky to work here. So you need to go
You
do
just need to do this.
And you just do it.
So what do you do in like if you're in that interview once they say that your husband makes, whatever, what do you respond? Just like you're so stunned, you're just silence, or?
I think if it
Like
were
what?
me now today,
Yeah.
I would say how I feel about that. I'd
Yeah,
be
you
like,
go off.
what
I
my
really think
husband
that's fair.
makes has nothing to
Nothing to
do
do.
with me
Yeah.
doing work for you. Like I would.
Shouldn't be able to
that's-
dictate how much my household income
I've
is.
never been
Oh,
asked.
definitely.
Yeah, I've
Wild.
never once been asked if my wife works.
We were such a small company over there, though, that we really truly knew like everything about everybody's lives and
Got
like
it.
what their husbands did, what their,
Yeah.
and
Which is kind of like here, like we all know.
yeah, and he used that, did that manipulation on us quite
crazy.
a bit. So yeah, working here, it's kind of like open our eyes.
It's hard. We're like, is this real? Working here is so different.
Yeah.
It's different. It's
Do
really
you-
nice. I'm going to work here
Different in a good
forever.
way.
I'm going to be here till I'm 80.
Yeah, they want you to have
I
a
love
life
it.
outside of Fishbowl.
They
want
do.
you
They
to-
encourage that.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
encourage that.
Yeah.
Any other, as far as, let's talk about this. Like, so, I mean, Nate mentioned it a little bit. How has the last 15 years, how has the workplace evolved for you guys?
I think it's
specifically?
changed a lot. Like I think, back then we were very few women that worked in the field that we did. We were. And so, we dealt with a lot of crap from different people, and now I just feel like, like Jamie said with the millennials, like they're just, it just is what it is. There's
Yeah.
men, women doing the same jobs. There's no, men can do more or women can't. It's just
Yeah.
everybody's equal.
I feel that way too.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like we
it's-
have the same intelligence. We
Yeah.
have the same
Yeah,
everything.
everybody's given the same chance.
Our sex
It's-
doesn't really come into play at
Yeah.
all. It doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
that's not even a thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're a lot more respectful than I was with older people. When I was training older people, I would be like, oh gosh, I have to train this person, and they probably don't even know how to use a computer. I'm dreading it. And they've always been so nice to me, and they just treat me like I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't, and I fake it. And I'm like, yes, I
Don't we all?
agree.
Don't we all?
Yes.
Yeah, during training, I was like, what am I doing here? What am
Oh,
I doing
I don't know.
here?
I'm gonna
Like,
just fake
can't
it. I don't
believe
really
just did
know.
this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how we all are.
Somebody's going to find out
Yeah.
someday that we're just
You know
like
what she
sham.
told me, though, too, one time that I've kind of
no.
taken off with
Oh,
and
no.
dealt
Okay.
with? She's always said, she told me on one of our installs, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my motto. I'm going to fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
That moment always happens when it's like, ding, okay, it's clicked.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I got it now.
But I've been acting
Yeah,
all
I've
along
been
that I
like-
got it.
So
I've been on calls with customers before, even just today, where I'm like, "Oh yeah, we can do that," and then I get off the phone, I'm like, "I have no idea what she just said. I don't know."
Good thing I recorded that call, so I can go
fine.
back and listen 5 times.
Might just send me a follow-up
fine.
email just to make sure
Yeah,
that I
can
got
you send me some screenshots of what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Do
Yeah,
you guys
it's
ever
fine.
do you ever run into issues with clients here? Like even, I know Fishbowl, like the people here are great, but do you ever run into issues with clients that are like, oh, it's weird that, they're like, it's like especially talking to a woman on tech support
Well,
or
yeah,
whatever it is. Like, oh, you
I-
sure you know what you're doing or something like that?
she ended up being sick one day. What was this, like 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
And she emailed me and was like, hey, can you take this call that I had scheduled? He doesn't want to reschedule, so can you take it? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. So I called him and talked to him, and I was like, hey, I'll let Jamie know that we've talked, and I've got all this stuff noted down, and we'll move forward, and she'll send you the quote out and whatever. And he goes, oh, Jamie's a she? And I was like, yeah, she's a girl. And he's like, oh, well, I just always assumed Jamie was a boy. I've worked with her multiple times. I just always assumed she was a man. And I was like, good night.
I
really?
get that impression. I say "dude" a lot. In
Yes,
my
you-
emails.
Dear
Just kidding.
Have you
Jamie.
talked to him much on the
Do.
phone?
Yeah, I was like, how many
Dude.
conversations have you
Yeah.
had with this guy?
Never.
That's wild.
No.
Yeah. So, some people still do. And again, it may be a generational thing.
Yeah, I feel like it kind
there's
of is.
older
The names- yeah.
men who don't think that women do these types of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, and there's still definitely fewer women in, especially in the tech
in
industry
this,
in
yeah,
general.
because
Like,
what are
that's-
we? Three
yeah.
of three in the dev department. Three of us
Yes.
girls.
Well, and Amy, 4.
Yeah.
4 total.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why is
So-
that? Do you think? Like, why is there fewer women
I
in
think
tech?
they're intimidated by nerds. They see the nerds and they're like, oh, I'm super intimidated. I'm married to a nerd. He's a programmer, so I can say that. I can call him a nerd, and all the nerds I work with. I think they're
all nerds
intimidated because a lot of the programmers aren't overly friendly, and they are once you get to know them. You're like, oh, that's the funniest person. Like Granger, hysterical. I love him.
Yep.
But when I first met him, I was very intimidated by him, and now I'm like, why did I feel that way?
Yeah, Granger of all people.
Granger, yeah, but I think that it's kind of an intimidation factor, and I think girls tend to doubt themselves and feel like they're not good enough, and I think that's just a female thing, not necessarily because of the workplace, but they go in going, I'm not good enough for this. This is development, or
So does it come
I
down
think
to
it's a thing.
almost stereotyping developers in general, like that they're
Yes.
not always the most extroverted, like warm, welcoming people.
Uh-huh.
That
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
you're kind of, I don't know.
It's more intimidating
Okay.
when they're not like,
I get that.
hey, welcome, you're
Yeah.
so great.
Oh, it's your first time.
Oh
I'm so
my
excited to meet
gosh,
you.
Let's make a
Ready to
cake.
go to
Your
lunch?
desk, your desk is all decorated.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
They
Not
just come
back
off their
there.
headphones like, hi.
Yeah,
Welcome.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So-
a very extroverted.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially, I mean, it's funny because like even within tech, there's like those departments, like you
Yeah.
said, Nate, that are like development. I mean, and like we have like our support and training team that has a decent, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 women there.
They're all so smart.
yeah,
I
they
see
are.
their
They
emails
are.
that come through, and I'm like, oh, they're so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart
Yeah.
people, smart
Very
women.
true.
Couple questions. What coming on that, like how it's evolved in the last 15 years. I mean, it's still got a long way to go, right? So, what advice would you have for women that are trying to either like even in a hiring interview or let's say like like evaluation, like your monthly, quarterly review or whatever it is? What advice would you have for someone who's just getting in?
Well,
or for some of our customers that are like in the SMB space that are just starting a startup or they're just
Well,
getting into
I
it.
just say go for it. Be confident.
Be
You
confident.
Definitely right from the get go. I mean, even if you feel nervous,
Yeah.
just be confident and give yourself that that self-esteem that you need, because it'll come across and
Fake
and
it
even
till
if
you make it.
fake it till you make it.
Boom.
Yeah, literally though. I mean, you go in there, be confident. You may be thinking like, okay, how am I really going to make this happen? But
Yeah.
you're going to have time. You're going to have time to prove yourself. You're going to have time to learn the things. You're going to, nobody expects you to just come right in and like you start developing
Well, yeah,
on
that's
the
the same
software.
for men,
like,
though, too. Like,
exactly.
we have no
So
idea
it's
what the hell we were doing.
yeah,
Not a
exactly.
chance.
So it's just
No,
just
and like the whole fake it till you make it thing, it really is like a confidence thing, right? It's
It
like I
is.
don't know what I'm doing, but I'm confident enough that I'll be able to figure it out.
Yep.
That I'm going to go ahead and just I know
Yep.
I know what's going to happen. You're fine.
I think you are your biggest critic, and the only thing that's stopping you is yourself.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, and you go into a room and you think people are thinking things of you, but if you were to ask them, they would be like,
Yeah, you'd
I
be
never even
surprised.
thought that of you. Because I've talked to coworkers before, and I've said, I felt really intimidated, and I felt like when I expressed my opinion, people in that meeting thought that I was kind of being a bitch because
Yeah.
I was very passionate about what I needed to have done, and all of them said, Jamie, we never thought that. We never thought that you were being that way.
You thought that.
Yeah.
I
you
thought
thought
that
that.
way, and
Yeah.
I felt bad for days. I was like, they're never going to ask me to come to a meeting at Fishbowl again. They think I'm that, and I was just trying to say that I need these things to work this way, and they
Yeah.
all hate me.
That's
Not
the other
true.
thing that's hard with you guys is because you, like you said earlier, like a whole emotional thing, the stereotypes. You have to like I haven't even thought twice about that. Like
Yeah.
in a meeting, if a guy loses it, they're like, "Oh, that dude's confident,"
Yeah.
But you guys have a whole another set of standards that hopefully will slowly kind of get.
Unless he loses it and starts crying and stuff, then it's probably not
becomes hysterical.
so much a confidence
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, that guy's.
It's like, wow, he's
I mean,
confident.
it's like
crying
yeah,
on
I
me.
mean,
Oh my gosh,
it's
he's
like
passionate.
Justin, my younger brother, stormed out of a meeting last week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
like,
he
I wasn't very
did?
confident. I mean, it wasn't like a good thing, but I'm like, oh, dude, you gotta, it's just like the same thing. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't thinking, but like for him, it's like, oh, he's just an idiot. But like if a woman did that, I'd be like, oh, they're so emotionally weak.
Yeah,
You know,
she's
you always have to-
emotional.
She's kind of a-
You always
yeah.
have to be like
Bitty.
thinking of
Yeah.
too. I don't know.
What you
I
were saying, though,
respect it. I'm
Jamie.
too dumb to think about that.
Yeah, with the guy, I think it's like, oh, well, he's
100%.
angry. He's not gonna. He's
just don't
he's just
even
mad.
realize
But
it.
women, it's,
Yeah, it's
Well,
almost like you have to. Yeah.
What you were I was just saying what you were saying about like you're worried about what they were thinking in the meeting or whatever. It just
Yes.
reminds me of that meme where the dude's rolled over on the side of the bed on his phone, and the girl is behind him and is like, "Oh, what's he thinking? What does he think about me or
Like
whatever?" And he
going
has
in-
something totally else on his mind that
Yes.
has nothing to do with
Yeah.
her at
Yeah.
all.
Yes,
Like I
that
bet,
is.
I bet he's thinking of so and so, and he's
Oh, yeah.
like, I wonder if tomatoes are
Yeah.
tomato sauce or something.
Something
true.
so dumb that's usually the case.
yeah.
And even if I'm given a compliment, they will say oh my gosh, you did so great this week. You've sent out in one day, I sent out 63 emails in one day. And Kendrick came up and he was like, Jamie, that's amazing. And I was like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess it was
Like,
good.
what, do you
I
think
don't
I
know.
can do better? Fine, I'll try to do
Yeah,
better.
like,
I'm so sorry.
oh, I check Jarvis every day to see if I can get above 63 now.
Yeah.
It's like my goal. Yeah, I can't
That's
just
great.
take it and go, yeah, I
did a
am
good
pretty
job.
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
I am
Yeah.
great. Yeah, no. And I think a lot of girls do that. A lot of women do that where they get a compliment and then they try to downplay it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But men sometimes do that too, I think.
I'm sure.
So
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
depends on
Yeah.
the personality.
just not to the extent that women do.
What
I
about
think.
advice for you coming back to like the review and like the raise thing? Like,
That's a rough one
That
because I'm
sucks,
not
right?
good at that either. I'm more to the point where I'm so grateful to be here. They could pay me $5 an hour, and
Yeah,
I would
you're
be
right.
so happy because of what happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm like a puppy
Yeah,
from
which
the
also
pound.
isn't
I'm
right.
so
That thing
great,
out.
at the
grateful.
same time, though, like we're hearing this, I'm like, that's also not right, though. Like, you
It's
gotta-
not.
It's
It's
not.
not.
You
Yeah,
gotta strong arm 'em.
I think you need to, go in there and say, these are all the things I do, and this is what I feel like I deserve.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I haven't ever done that because I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy.
You're
Yeah.
very conflict
I'm happy.
averse, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it comes down to hopefully you just have like a manager or supervisor or whatever that like respects what you do and appreciates what you
Definitely.
do.
Yeah,
Like
and
it doesn't
yeah.
matter what
recognizes
situation
you.
you're in, like personally, it's like, no, they do this much work and this is what.
Definitely.
Like,
And I
sure
don't
appreciate
feel
that.
like I'm not paid fairly compared
Yeah.
to with my coworkers.
Yeah.
I feel like I get paid for what I do and it's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel respected. Kendrick has always made
awesome.
me feel respected. But
I'll
yeah,
learn some tips and tricks from you for Kendrick then.
I know. I'll
get over
help
that.
you.
Disrespectful.
I'll help you. He really likes candy, cinnamon.
I feel like
candy.
they'll also, like,
That's where it's at.
you're.
Deal.
For me, it's easy to be like, oh, if anyone said that to me in a meeting, I'd be gone that day. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like you also have to be like, well, then I have to go through the whole thing of getting hired.
Yeah,
Like,
find a new job. Like
that's annoying.
Yeah.
Right? And so
I
yeah,
really
it's
like
just
everybody
interesting.
here too.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think there's one person that I totally dislike here. I really like everybody
It's not
that
what you
I've
said
gotten to know.
off air, though.
let's just
What was that name again, Nate?
Yeah,
What'd
it's
you-
fine.
what'd you
No.
say?
Let's not do that. Do you
kidding,
want
there was-
Kendrick to like you or not?
I don't expect it to ever happen, so we're good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really like everybody here. Everybody's fun. Once I get to know them, they're so fun. Everybody's so
I-
nice here. It's so great.
I thought I was in like the Twilight Zone the
I
first
know, she
like
did.
2
It was
weeks.
so
I was
funny.
like, everybody's
This is
so
like a
nice
recruiting
to me.
episode. This is
Everybody-
great.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like, is this another version of
It's
Get Out?
therapy. It's therapy for
It's
us.
It's how it should
Yeah,
be,
seriously.
though.
It
It's
is
really
how it should be.
I
If
was
you're
gonna
not
say,
happy, don't
Fishbowl
stick with
does
the
it
job.
right.
Long
Like,
story
that's
short,
my
find a place
advice.
where you're happy.
Yeah.
If you're going to work crying every day, you need to leave. Like,
Yeah,
because I did that for 10 years.
Yeah.
I hated my job and I was so unhappy. And my son was saying it and he was like, do you have to have a job when you grow up that you hate? Because I don't want to grow up now. And I'm like, no, it's not normal.
You're like, don't ever grow
No,
up.
just
You're right.
don't. Yeah, but now I'm like, I look forward to, on Sunday, I look forward to Monday.
Yeah.
And that's how you should feel.
Yeah.
That's how you should feel. If you don't feel that way, you deserve better. And you can move on and find a job where they appreciate
Yeah,
you.
go somewhere
Don't
else,
stay.
for
If you're
sure.
getting treated that way, don't try to fight for it. Go find another job where they respect you from the get-go.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to earn all of that and work so hard
Yeah,
and
and
feel
I res-
miserable.
I respect you guys because you guys have been through it for so long. I mean, it's easy for you to say that now, right? But as a 25-year-old,
Yes.
you were probably like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not good enough.
had to hide
I-
yourself up in the bathroom to go
Yeah.
into your
Yeah.
review, right? Like,
Yes, very
and
stressful.
so, yeah, I mean, it's good
Yeah.
now that there's things like there's information out there and there's different support system. I mean, things that
Yeah.
can like help people know what the heck they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well,
And
I mean,
so-
there's conferences built around like women in tech. Like I'd get one,
Yeah, the one- there's one here in
email
Utah,
women in-
yeah,
yeah.
And so I mean, there's things like that that have come about that definitely, give women that boost and let them know, like, yeah, you can do this kind of job. You can, do the same thing as your male counterparts. It's fine. Like,
Oh yeah, a lot of the women
Go
we work
for
with
it.
are like crazy good at what they do.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
especially like the networking types.
yeah. And that's
Oh,
the thing
yeah.
with
Like
back to
they're
the
just
whole
not
mom
money.
thing.
Yeah.
Like that's, you can be a woman working and be a mom and be a wife
Yeah.
and be a, and you can
All the
accomplish,
Yeah.
some major things. So, and,
Yeah,
and
which kudos,
sadly,
I can't even
years
think about
ago
doing
that was.
Yeah, you had a
weren't
baby. It
even
was
given
like the kiss of
chance.
death in
Yeah.
the tech world. You were done.
Yeah,
if you had a
bye-bye.
baby, you were done.
Yeah.
A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people wouldn't even like bring you back after, like wouldn't even give you.
They would, but it would be like, well, we're gonna have to cut your pay because you've been gone,
'Cause
and
now
you're
you
not
have
gonna
another
be.
human to take care of.
Yeah, and I didn't
Makes
want to
sense.
be in management anymore, so my boss cut my pay because I didn't want to be in management, but I was still doing all the same things. It was
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
So they didn't really give you a choice.
Well, you
They're
couldn't
like,
work
can
from home because you
come
had
back.
massive desktops that you had to like the size of a server room,
Yes,
right? You
that's
had to
true.
work
I
from.
had the
Makes
cute
sense.
little colored pack. Do you remember
Oh, those
colors?
were awesome.
Yeah, we
Loved.
remember those.
In elementary
Those were
school, we used
awesome.
those.
I know, I was going to say that's where we had them.
I played many a mile of Oregon Trail on those
thanks.
babies, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Wow. All
Wow.
right.
I went from New York to Oregon like 17 times on that thing to the Oregon
I
Trail.
always died of corona. That was awesome.
Corona. Yeah.
They're gonna have to update
Case
the
of
game.
coronavirus
surprised
on
it's
Oregon
Not gonna
Trail.
work.
I'm surprised we were able to even do this episode this week. You know, I was thought at
Seriously.
least one of us would be down with coronavirus.
Oh,
With all
she
the
just
me-
I'm
coughed.
proud of us that was like the first time it's been brought up.
She
Sorry,
just
I did that.
with all the media hype.
They have like gloves at the salad
Yeah,
bar
yeah.
now at Harmon's.
Oh, really?
I didn't wear them. I'm just living my life.
Did you
That
use like the
whole-
tongs
no.
at least, or did you just like reach in? and
I
just,
reached in.
Full on
Just
leather.
kidding.
Oh, it's power move. That was great.
I know we forgot to talk about power
Yeah,
moves. That's
there
number
one is right there.
They
Oh, power moves.
yeah, the coronavirus is the media hype is too much.
It is
Give us some
crazy.
women. Give us some women power moves.
Have you
Do you have
guys
any?
ever used one of like the the stereotypes to your advantage though?
Yes, 100%, especially with men.
Let's get some examples.
Thank you for actually admitting that.
Oh yeah,
That's fantastic.
Every time
Let's
it
hear it.
works.
Yeah.
Just when men are angry, my boss would always say, "Can you take this call?" I can talk men down if they're super mad. I can calm them down. A woman, see ya,
Yeah.
I'm out. But a man, you can calm down pretty
out.
easy. I think that it's easier for me to talk to men.
Gotcha.
Now thinking
it's
about
not.
it, like any of the like annoying. I'm trying to think of like phone calls when I call and I'm pissed at something, or like my phone company or something. Yeah, if it's a,
It's a female,
I mean,
you're
I have
nicer.
a way, yeah,
Oh,
100%.
yeah. Yep.
I
Yeah.
way easier time cussing out a dude.
For sure. I also think from a customer service standpoint, if you're nice, you get a lot more.
Yep, you do.
When
Oh,
people are rude
100%.
and they send me the emails after, like if I haven't responded for an hour, they'll send me an email with hello and uppercase. And I'm like, Kate, I'm going to help you, but I'm not right now. Like if you're going to
No,
be rude.
Emails are my passion, and now I don't even
Now
want
I'm
to
going
respond.
to
Less
wait
of a
for
passion.
3 hours instead of 2 hours to answer you back. I'm going to snooze you until 4. Yeah, it's just, that's not, and I've always like, whenever
That's
I've
kind of
been
a
in that
power move in and of
situation-
itself right there. There we
It
go. There's
kind
another
of
one.
is, but they don't
Like,
really
huh,
know.
who's
that
in
it's
control?
They don't
It's
really
only
know.
power move if
But
they
it's
know about
still
it.
who's in
Yeah,
control
I
here.
just-
Do you have
yeah.
any power moves you've been using to your advantage?
I don't. I'm pretty diplomatic. Like that's one thing I think that differs between me and Jamie is I can take it all.
Yeah.
Like I can deal with it. I mean, definitely when I get off the phone, I'm like, my God, that guy is such like I'm just like, whoa. But yeah, but on the phone, like I can handle pretty well anything as long as my ducks are in a row and I
Yeah,
can be
yeah.
like, we did this, you did this. I have no problem. Just
Yeah, she will call anybody back.
Oh, yeah,
For me,
I don't have a
I
problem.
don't love that. I'll call them back, but I'm always like so tootsie.
Yeah.
Can you take this phone call?
I'm like, hand it over.
Because it affects me for days. I'm mad about it. I think about it for days.
It
Like
gets in
I
your head.
obsess about things. Yeah, my current obsession is that Marie Osmond has $20 million and she's leaving none of it to her children. Bothered me for 3 days now. I
They don't
read
deserve it.
I'm irritated.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Like Marie, if you're listening,
Wait, what's her
please
excuse,
give
though?
your kids some money because she wants
Also,
to.
please come on the show.
Oh, Marie Osmond, we love you.
This is
Mostly Donnie, we love though more a little bit. But she says that she wants to teach them how to work, and if she
boy.
gives them money, she's not giving them the ability to work. Which for me, I don't agree.
So you just like
bothers me.
So we're
Where's
up
it
in,
going?
up in arms
Her
about
charity.
that for 3 days.
Up in arms. And so when I talk to angry customers, I'm the same way. I obsess about it for days. Like,
Yeah.
why did they say that? And then I said this, and then they
I'm
said
kind of
this.
like that too, though. I get heated, and then I just vent to these guys. They get. they just
Nicole
have to
can get
listen to
over
me.
it fast.
I think me and Nicole are
okay.
more
Yeah.
similar in that regard then.
yeah. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Go.
I
have a
saw
show. It's fine.
coming back to your email when people were like, "Hello." I saw a thing on LinkedIn
So
yesterday.
rude.
One of my buddies had was in the middle of a sales email and wrote. The guy basically was like, "Oh, can we do this and this and this?" And he wrote back and said, "Yeah, comma, no problem." So YEAH, right? The regular way you spell yeah. Yeah, no problem. And the guy wrote back. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You said yeah, so you're just being so casual with me. You don't care about this deal."
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
And it blew the deal.
Calm down.
Blew the
It
deal.
totally
He said,
did.
"We're done."
Instead of yes.
Yeah, and so he posts on LinkedIn. He's like, "Is this
Wow.
like just the
Is
most
this a
boomer thing I've ever seen?"
thing?
Yeah, I
That's the
couldn't
kind of
believe
guy that won't hire a female because she might have a baby.
Definitely.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
know.
true.
All the,
Yeah.
all the comments were like,
Wow.
"You
That's
dodged
one thing
a
that I
bullet."
found with a lot of people is when you're more personable with them too, it makes them feel like they have a connection with you and
Yeah.
the company.
Oh, yeah, you're
And
talking
so
to
I'm
a friend
surprised
instead
by
of, like,
that.
just-
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm surprised by that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
To
always
each
try to
their
be
own, I
funny in
guess.
emails and say like, "You are our favorite customer. Your
Yeah.
mock-up is amazing," and
Yeah.
they seem to love that when
Yeah.
you do that. that. So
It's like the people that do that though, like whatever,
Yeah.
and get upset about that. I feel like they're just the kind that like think they're way more important than they actually are. Like, it's like
you don't
you
know
need
who
to
you're
talk to me
talking
with
to.
some respect.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
It's
Yeah.
like, we're done with
okay,
this.
yeah.
go to a
Guys,
partner. Bye.
Yeah, Mike, you dodged the bullet.
That's another great thing about Fishbowl. I'm totally promoting Fishbowl now. But if someone's
what
rude,
this is for.
rude
We're
enough to
hiring.
you, they're like, don't take that. Like you don't have to take it when a customer is mean to you.
Yeah, they let you
I
fight back.
love
and they don't-
that.
Yeah.
I have never gotten to
Yeah,
do
I've
that
never
before.
had that.
Never. It was always, no matter what they're doing to ruin your life, you just suck it up
Yeah.
and deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, that's a no. You have to
You
treat.
stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
I love that.
I said
love
when I first came back, I was on like an implementation call with a customer that we're actually really good friends with now.
Yeah.
And he dropped the F-bomb on me on the call, and then I dropped the F-bomb back at him, and then he sent me a gift.
Oh, was he
So-
Nice.
from New
Was it
York?
the
And
F-bomb?
now we're
What's the
homies.
name?
Yeah.
Was it like an F-bomb paperweight? Like that?
No, that would have
Just
been
kidding.
cool.
That would have been cool.
It was like a leather, the thing that your mouse goes on,
Oh, nice.
Oh.
a mouse pad.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
nice.
fancy.
I've tried dropping F on him a couple times and I haven't gotten anything.
Maybe
He
you
just
will
hangs
now.
up every time on Nate for some reason. But anyways, case in point.
Wow. Wow.
Well, thanks guys for coming. We're gonna end this with a quick tip from an inventory tip from fact checker Sean. So
By the way, fact checker Sean has been quiet today because
Yes, he has.
he's afraid to check your facts. So
We're right. We're women and we're
he
right.
said no need to fact check women. Easiest episode ever is what he writes.
100%.
Exactly.
here.
Exactly.
So his things are 5 quick tips for inventory management. So we're going to go through these. So if you're listening and this is the only thing you care about, you wait till the very end. Buckle your seatbelt.
next week we're doing it in the middle of
yeah.
the episode.
We're going to do half in the middle and half at the end. So they have to listen to the whole thing.
Anticipation.
That's right.
So here's the five quick tips. Number 1, have a well organized floor plan. So space for receiving, space for damage stocked, fast moving SKUs. I'm always surprised when we go on site to see like how people's warehouses are organized. You know, they always say like keep the things you're using the most, like
Yeah.
waist
Yeah.
level, and they're always like, oh yeah, it's in the back corner. Like, well, yeah, no wonder it takes your guys like 30 extra minutes per order. So that's number 1. Have well organized floor plan. Number 2, label everything. Aisles, racks, shelves, bins, warehouse signage to navigate staff and pickers. So this way, I mean, this may seem like old hat. A lot of people are using the same. Like, I mean, it's kind of like here. Like we know everybody. People have been here for years.
Yeah.
But you never know when you're going to hire a new person. And just because Bob in the warehouse has been here for 30 years doesn't mean the new
Yeah.
person's going to know where the hell they're going.
Everything's at, yeah.
So signage is good, and don't assume
Smart.
that people know. Number 3, know your best seller. So yeah, place fast-moving stock closer to the shipping area and waste, so where you're not going down below your waist to pick it up every time. And I keep smashing my ring on that. That's great. Number 4,
Keeping attention.
yeah, wake up, everybody. And number 4, implement cycle counts. So cycle counts just means counting your inventory. So if you have 52 of something, cycle count means to go count it again and update the number. If it's same 52, you're good. Perform those regularly. I'm always stunned at how regularly people do their cycle counts. They're like, oh yeah, we do them all the time. Like, how often? Oh, every like other year usually. I'm like, well, yeah, duh. So do random audits and on individual parts or areas of the warehouse. A lot of people will say, okay, here's 5 parts. Every week we're going to pick 5 random parts until we get through our entire stock in 52 weeks or whatever it is. Or you can do random areas of the warehouse and say, okay, we're going to do shelf A through B, and then next week we're going to do C through D, et cetera. And then the last one is you have to have warehouse management software. Sean put in buy Fishbowl for SMBs. So so that's the inventory tip. Thanks you guys for coming.
Yeah.
Any other
Yeah,
last
thank
you.
advice?
Yeah,
It was awesome.
Come work at Fishbowl.
Come work
Yeah.
at Fishbowl. We love it.
Or at least find a place where you're happy.
Find a place where you're
Do
happy.
that.
Yeah, and if you
So
don't,
true.
Yeah.
Don't be miserable. Be happy.
Yeah, make yourself happy.
awesome.
And fake it till you make it.
There you
And
go.
that, yeah.
Okay, thanks guys for coming. All right, take it easy.